9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's Timeless Elite Wednesday with your PR princess, your Timeless Elite. Stone Cold Courtney is with you on an edition of AEW Dynamite as they continue the road to Double or Nothing, making a pit stop to Norfolk, Virginia. And it looks like we're kicking off with the All-Star 8-man tag team match, which I'm not surprised because I thought either this one, and it's a possibility Kyle Fletcher and Hangman Adam Page is going to be the main event for the Owen Hart Cup tournament. But the All-Star 8-man tag team match consists of Mark Briscoe, Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, and the reigning AEW International Champion Kenny Omega taking on Ricochet, Kazuchika Okada, and the EVPs, the Young Bucks. And it's also going to be one of the first few times we get to see Okada and Kenny Omega in the ring at the same time. And it's already it's getting a little bit closer to a possible match for the unifications of the belts between them at All In Texas, since allegedly, because the writing is on the wall, but it hasn't been made official. So we do have action on there. We have that, and we'll find out between Hangman and Kyle Fletcher on who is going to take on Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing for the men's side. We know for the women, we have Jamie Hager, my other client, taking on the CEO, Mercedes Moné. And also, we get to see my client, the fighting champion, the timeless one, Toni Storm. She put out a challenge for an eliminator match against Miyu Yamashita. So that's going to be a fun match. And plus, my client, she's a fighting champion. She shows up to work. She issued the challenge, and somebody answered. So that's a fighting champion for you. So I'm very proud of that. But we do have a lot of action. Also, we're going to hear from the Hurt Syndicate and MJF. Curious on where this is going to go, and also hopefully we'll find out who is going to be challenging the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW Tag Team titles. So lots of stuff is happening, but you're hanging with me for the next 2 hours. And just looking at the entrances, Kenny Omega is coming out. I will say, every week when we're in Dynamite, it's all you. I feel like he's one of the few stars that just gets a huge chance. And people respect Kenny for what he does in the ring. AEW International Champion. And also, I know, and Boza allegedly could mean AEW. Yep, that is true, Boza, allegedly. And I think that will help as well but I'm also very curious on how they're going to rename it, because if they do name it the AEW International Championship, it's a possibility they may have to rename the Continental Classic to that belt to make sure it aligns with it, because it happens at the end of the year. And also very curious on where direction this is going to go. But Kenny Omega's coming out, and I'm laughing at the memes for Ricochet, because I know he's bald, but it's just funny. All these memes are coming out on social laughing at his baldness. Hi, Fernando. Thank you for joining on Timeless Elite Wednesday with your PR princess, your Timeless Elite Stone Cold Courtney with you tonight. Just make fun of the bald people. Ricochet coming out and, your EVPs. Yay. You can see by the look of my face where I'm just like, no. Yay. But can't discredit them as a tag team. I can't discredit them as a tag team wise, because tag team wrestling wise, they're good. Now the other stuff that they done, well, they can be a little bit pompous, arrogant, whatever you want to call them, and yeah, Those of you know what I mean. I mean, I can't discredit wrestling wise. It's just some of the stuff. And you know what I noticed, and I think you guys can do it on the chat. Since I started watching AEW, I've noticed these narcs in the IAWC land. And even when I talk to in person, they sometimes give the Young Bucks a free pass and put them on this high little pedestal. And they kind of had him get away with a lot of stuff, especially what happened with the whole dispute with CM Punk. And even like trying to say last year where people were complaining that my clients, the Acclaimed, were in the tag team title race along with FTR and the Young Bucks. And it's like, my clients, the Acclaimed, haven't even sniffed tag team gold in 2 years. But I don't hear many people complaining how FTR and the Young Bucks managed to get opportunity after opportunity in the tag team title picture. I'm just saying. But trust me, it's going to be an ongoing discussion. It's an ongoing thing. But seeing Kazuchika Okada come out, Kenny Omega is pretty much pacing, but here we go. I mean, we're kicking off hot with this all-star 8-man tag team match. As I mentioned, it is a possibility that the main event is I'm looking at the stare down between Kenny and Okada, and it looks like they really want each other. Like I said, allegedly, it could happen at All in Texas. It's just a matter of time. And also, possibly what's going to happen with Double or Nothing. But it looks like Okada and Kenny Omega are going to start this match, which is surprisingly. Fernando, that is true. But it does go both ways. I think it does go both ways because there's a lot of ego. And myself and Will were talking about this a couple weeks ago. It had to deal with power, it has to do with pride, and it has to do with ego. So it goes both ways regarding what happened with CM Punk. Can't put all the blame on the Elite, but I'm just saying there is a lot of dispute, and then FTR was thrown into the mix. So there was a lot of egos. It's just an ego trip, and I'm just saying. But it goes both ways. But we'll talk about that throughout the show. But of course, we see Young Bucks, Okada, and Ricochet handling Kenny Omega. And this is a good way to start off AEW Dynamite so far. As I mentioned, it's a possibility the main event is going possibly be Hangman versus Kyle Fletcher for the Owen Hart men's tournament, which they did do a lot of promotion on socials. Yeah. Exactly, Boza. And then also, as you mentioned, Double or Nothing has to deal with NXT Battleground, which I don't mind a lot of friendly competition because for me, I watch all of wrestling. So I don't mind any friendly competition. But it looks like that is Matthew in the tan belts and Nicholas in, I don't want to say teal, but it looks like navy blue pants. But it looks like they're really giving a beating to Kenny Omega. Fernando, you already put your picket for Hangman. You know, it's really interesting. Some people say Kyle Fletcher, some people say Hangman. This is actually going to be really interesting. And also the fact, because a lot of people think Darby Allin's going to be the one to dethrone Moxley at All In. Do not forget about this tournament. Because depending on what happens tonight and with Double or Nothing, if Will Ospreay has to go against Hangman or he has to go against Kyle Fletcher, this is going to be very interesting. So I'm curious on how this is going to play out with the title belt and especially if Darby does not come back. And and I saw something on social, and it was posted by PWI, where it showed a recent photo of Darby, and he's starting to get some muscles a bit after climbing Mount Everest. He's starting to get some muscles a bit, and I'm very happy he's starting to get a lot of bulkness in him, and it's doing good for him. I just want him to come safely home. That's all I want for him. Come safely home and just run with it. But going back to the match, it looks like Kenny Omega, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Mark Briscoe are putting a beating on Ricochet, as it should be. I actually do like the tag team of Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight. Deadpool Party, thank you for joining on this watch along for AEW Dynamite, and you already put in Darby or Will Ospreay. It's a possibility. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a main event. Hangman versus Will Ospreay will be a fresh match for Kyle. Yeah, it like I said, this could go either way. Like, I'm not putting a winner on it. It's very much really well. Deadpool Party, to be fair, I wouldn't say it's a publicity stunt, but Darby has been talking about this for a while. He was actually supposed to do it last year, but unfortunately he hurt his ankle and then got ran over by a bus. God bless that man's soul that he's still alive. And that was something that I think he's mentioned this multiple times in this interview, that he really wanted to do it. And I'm very happy that he got to achieve something that he's wanted to do for a while, was climb Mount Everest after his friend Sting retired, and that's something that he wants to do. I'm just happy that I just wanted to get home safely. That's all I want. And also I did see, yep, Jose, you did read my mind. The ops will be in action tonight, and thank you for confirmation on tonight's main event. Thank you for that, because I kind of figured it was going to be Kyle Fletcher versus Hangman. Hi, Bobby. Thank you for joining on this watch along with the Timeless Elite. Oh my goodness, look at this 8-man. It's like the fans are on their feet and everybody's in a stare down, and it's just chaos and mayhem. And it's very interesting. There's so many storylines in particular where, of course, Mark Briscoe, he's just has the biggest heart. He's like the heartbeat of everything when it comes to wrestling, and does it so well. Swing your partner round and round. Kung Fu. Don't mess with the Kung Fu chicken. Actually, let me rephrase that. Redneck Kung Fu. Oh my goodness. This is actually really fun. And even though it's on picture in picture, the match is still going on live. And it's very interesting, like I said, with storylines. Like Kenny Omega, of course, he still has his issues with Okada and the Young Bucks on what they did last year. And also, if you did watch Collision this past week, he came to the aid of Swerve Strickland. And they have mutual respect for each other. And also, it was very interesting because Kenny Omega was on Swerve's podcast not too long ago. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And it's nice to see both of them do have mutual respect, and also a common enemy with the Young Bucks. And I think that's going to be something to play in. It is a possibility they're going to do Anarchy in the Arena. It's just who are going to be the main players going into this. Because as I mentioned, of course, I don't know what's going to happen with tonight's main event, and also who's going to face Will Ospreay for the Owen Hart Men's Cup tournament. Also thinking the Death Riders, as I mentioned a couple months ago, it's a possibility the Elite and the Death Riders may be working under the radar. It's a possibility. I would not be shocked at that. And just thinking of so many layers into this. So it's very interesting. I do believe there is going to be an Anarchy in the Arena. It's just going to be who are going to be fully the main players. Of course, we know we're about to be in May 14th. We know Jon Moxley will defend the World Heavyweight title against Samoa Joe. But we'll see what happens. Because Double or Nothing, I could see it being anarchy, but trying to see who the players are. That is true, Fernando. They are a very, very, very good tag team, and they just run so well, Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. But also, I would like to see, and it really sucks too, because I would like for it to go back with the Outrunners. It looks like they're going to be doing stuff with Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta after we saw what happened at Collision this past weekend. But it would be nice for them to kind of continue being in the tag team title picture. I just need them to at least build more credible wins. That's all I want. I want them to build at least credible wins. And also, we haven't seen Private Party in a while as well. We haven't seen them since they lost the belt, so that's also a possibility. Yes. John Pollock of Post Wrestling confirmed with AEW officials. Betrayed won't be a 4-hour special. It's basically, I kind of figured that, Boza, because I was like, 4 hours? That's a bit, I mean, Tony Khan, bless your heart, I love you and all, but 4 hours? That's a bit of a stretch. And I'm happy they broke it with Dynamite and Collision. But we are back live with this all-star 8-man tag team match. We have Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, Kenny Omega, and Mark Briscoe taking on the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, and Ricochet. Ooh. Nice synergy. I will say, Ricochet does fit well with the Young Bucks. They have that synergy. I will say, Ricochet, it does work well with them. Yeah, so I think that's Nicholas in the ring. Also, a little fact before I even do anything. This Saturday on Collision, PSA on programming, it will not be on TNT this week. It will be on TBS at 8 p.m. And yours truly will be at Collision this weekend live since it's at my neck of the woods. I'm very excited. And this is actually my first Collision to attend. Super excited to attend on Saturday. What better way to spend your Saturday night than watching a live wrestling show? Especially when AEW comes to town. Come on. Can't win that. But also, tag is made to Okada. Looks like he's putting a beating on Speedball Mike Bailey. Oh, now it's all chaos now. So it looks like, I guess, yep, quadruple suplex. Quadruple. But Mark Briscoe, Kenny Omega, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey are all feeling it. They're feeling it. Oh my God. That was like 4-way air control. Oh my God. I'm so happy this kicked off AEW Dynamite. This is actually a really fun match. Thank you, Boza. Yep. It's going to be on TBS. And yeah, there, of course, you know, if you're a sports fan like me, I follow a lot of football. Once in a while, I do basketball. But yes, Game 7, NBA playoffs. I know Ced was talking about that because his team, the Pistons, well, actually, they play on Friday, but this is going to be fun. And Kevin Knight Ooh, nice counter by Nicholas. Nice Hurricanrana by Kevin Knight. I'm going to tell you something. Depending on what they're going to do with the Continental, International, if it's going to be unified, and if they're going to do, I'm still going to call it the Continental Classic before it renames it, I would like to see Kevin Knight be a part of that later this year. I think he would be a really great addition to that tournament because he already had a very good solid showing this year so far. And then Ricochet is making the encounter. Looks like the Young Bucks are trying to take out Kevin Knight. Double team. Tag is made to Kenny Omega. He wants Okada, but Okada's playing mind games. He's playing mind games. I saw him playing mind games. Bobby, thank you. Hopefully I do get to see not just Anthony Bowens, but also my other guy, Max Caster, this weekend. Even though the Acclaimed are broken up, I still love them no matter what happens. I love them both. Ooh, nice kick. I believe that's Matthew. And they just picked up Kenny Omega. Super kick to Speedball Mike Bailey. Hi, James Action Figure Toy Man. Thank you for joining on my watch along for AEW Dynamite. Collision will be at Atlantic City, New Jersey this weekend. Let's see. Takara World, thank you for joining on this watch along for AEW Dynamite. If you're joining with me, we have a very star-studded and exciting 8-man tag team match. We have Mark Briscoe, Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kenny Omega taking on the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, and Ricochet. I saw where AEW had a sister. It's a possibility. We don't know. She stepped up to the plate with my client. My client is a fighting champion, the timeless one. She issued the challenge this past weekend at the TCM Film Festival. Miyu Yamashita answered the call. And I'm very excited to see this match. Well, Bobby, to be fair, yes, TNT champion, but I wouldn't mind seeing them be like either international champion. I hope so too, Bobby. I hope so too. I know everybody's very salty with the chat when it comes to Megan Bayne because she thinks that she could beat Nia Jax, Piper Niven, and just to let you know, yes, Megan Bayne is a powerhouse, but to be fair, that would be a nice, good, solid match. It would be a very good, nice, solid match. But also, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we got to see Lash Legend carry both Nia Jax and Piper Niven in the ring. And also, to be fair, with that comparison with Megan Bayne and Jada Parker, people have to understand Jada Parker's in NXT. So that's like a brand in itself, and also really continuing that development because she does have that charisma. She is working on her wrestling work. So it's just really a matter of time when, but Jada Parker is improving. I do see a lot of potential in her, and I do see her being a future NXT Women's Champion. Oh, thank you, Bobby. Thank you for that. So, I guess if you know, I'm a huge fan of boy bands. I'm a huge fan of boy bands when it comes to NSYNC, and a lot of people don't know it's April 30th, and there's a little bit of, I don't want to say a joke, but there's a little bit of things that, there's a little bit, not a trend, but there's a saying that's floating around in social media where back in the day, NSYNC still is, but back then were one of the biggest pop acts of the late 90s, early 2000s. And Deadpool, it's gonna be May today. Today is April 30th, and they do It's Gonna Be May. So they started this like 7, 6, 8 years ago. One of the people that I know, she likes boy bands. She created this meme and it started to blow up on social media. So it's a holiday for all NSYNC fans around the world, including me. And it's also nice to see a lot of wrestlers within in this space already fans of boy bands, like Dr. Britt Baker. She's a huge fan of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Alexa Bliss, she's a huge fan of NSYNC, and she's married to Ryan Cabrera, who's also good friends with Chris Kirkpatrick. Also, Brian Danielson admitted that he likes to sing late 90s and early 2000 pop music. So it's still there. It is still there. And we are back live with this all-star 8-man tag team match. I believe in the ring that is Nicholas. Tag is made to Ricochet. Oh! 450 slash miss. Nice move by Kenny Omega. Here comes Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe wants to tag. He wants to tag. And Kevin Knight trying to rally up the crowd. This match is so good. This is so good. Here comes Mark Briscoe, taking out both members of the Young Bucks with his redneck kung fu. Okay, double team. Nice move by Mark Briscoe. And here comes Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey taking out the Young Bucks. But then here comes Okada. Ooh, nice move by Mark Briscoe. And also, it's nice Briscoe and Okada are no strangers to each other since they competed in the Continental Classic last year. Ooh, nice move by Speedball. Nice move by Kevin Knight. Oh my god. This is just so much high flying. And it's almost 8:30. Kick out by Okada. That'd be crazy if he did pin Okada. Because I will say this. I'm trying to think when's the last time Okada got pinned. I have to think about the last time he got pinned. I know him and Daniel Garcia had a draw during the Continental Classic. Okada's going on the top rope. Elbow drop. And of course, he gives his signature middle finger. And he's giving it to Kenny Omega. Well, there's Speedball Mike Bailey. Speedball Mike Bailey kicked. Yeah. Looks like the Young Bucks double teaming Kevin Knight. Ooh, nice move by Ricochet. This is like mayhem. And Mark Briscoe does a move again. Move by Okada. And now Kenny has nobody to tag in. And I can tell you he's very irate. And that's the plan Okada wants to have. Where's Kenny and Okada having a stare down? Yeah, exactly. You know, it was sooner or later these guys are going to come into blows. It was gonna happen sooner or later. Hi, James Action Figures Toy Man. Yes, right now it is dark in New Jersey. We usually have our sunset down like around right before 7:30. But so it is dark right now. He's trying to do his signature Kenny Omega. Question is, this is the $1 million question. Who is willing to take the pinfall? Super kick by the Young Bucks. That is the $1 million question. Who is willing to take the pinfall? They got everybody. And it looks like Ricochet. Oh my goodness. I guess they're going to do double pile driver. Double. Wow. That had to be it. That had to be it. Ooh, kick out by Mark Briscoe. I really thought that match was over after that. But we're still continuing the match. And how dare you, Ricochet, and you crappy MVPs yelling at the referee. Shame on you. Oh, they were going for the EVP trigger, but miscommunication. Bye-bye, Ricochet. Here comes Okada. I think it's going to look like he's going to do the Rainmaker. Mark Briscoe. Ooh, is Mark going to take the pin? Kick out by Ricochet. Oh, Kazuchika Okada is the name. Kazuchika Okada. This is really a fun match. And it's so cool to continue it on the road to Double or Nothing. Let's see. Speedball Mike Bailey countering Ricochet. They are a great tag team. Landing. Ricochet landed on the Young Bucks. Well, here comes Kenny. I think if anybody's going to pin... Ooh, nice. I think if anybody's going to pin Okada in this match, it's Kenny. Mark Briscoe wants to end this match. He's feeling froggy. But here comes Ricochet. Ooh. This has to be it. Rainmaker. Yeah, that has to be it. Your winners of this match is Ricochet, Kazuchika Okada, and oh yeah, those sleazy EVPs, the Young Bucks. They won. It was a really great match. I know Kenny is a little bit irate. Bobby, who goes against the Hurt Syndicate at Double or Nothing? Bobby, that's a good question. I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you who's going to meet them at Double or Nothing. Because there's that many tag teams out there. And also with the fact, too, FTR did just turn heel. But I need those guys to cook a little bit further in the coming months. I don't want to go away just yet. It looks like Kenny is a little bit irate. And here come the Hurt Syndicate. They're really saying we hurt people. Oh my God! Man, they really beating up people in the back. Of course, Ricochet in the elite line. Kenny didn't take the fall, which is interesting. Oh, yep. Boza, it's likely they're going to be in Texas. So, well, they made an admission saying they want to hurt people. but it looks like they're coming out to the ring. So it looks like they're having a discussion on this regarding MJF, the Hurt Syndicate. So MVP is saying that MJF can be beneficial to the Hurt Syndicate, but Bobby Lashley still has some doubts. And MVP did say it. If MJF screws the Hurt Syndicate, they are going to hurt him. Because that's their mantra. They hurt people. That's it. But that's still to come. Very interesting to see. Exactly. We shall see what happens. Because, wow, it's very interesting that we kicked off with an epic all-star 8-man tag team match. Up next, we're going to hear from... We're going to see the Ops, the reigning AEW Trios champions, in action. We're going to see them in action next. Also, I think this would be really good for them because it could really bring a lot of credibility and competition within the Trios division because there's some interesting trios. Not just in AEW. Maybe you could bring them over to Ring of Honor because it would be nice for them to kind of travel a little bit outside of that realm. That would be kind of cool. A VP is a good business manager. He can expand his portfolio, but don't screw his syndicate over. Exactly. He is a good manager. Well, Boza, to be fair, he is a good business manager. I just didn't like he was one of the reasons the Acclaimed split because the minute he gave Caster his business card, it was like this whole dark cloud just rambled on the Acclaimed. And the only reason he wanted Max on there was because his dad played in the NFL and was a Super Bowl champion. And you pretty much had to take out one of your biggest threats in that tag team division. And please don't give me anything. And please don't give me anything regarding the January match because that match was a joke. That match was a joke, and you got it when they were in disconnect. Now, if you got it when they were together and in sync, that is when they put a beating on it. But like I said, they're on their solo paths, but they'll be back together by around next year when AEW comes back to Wembley Stadium. Because remember, they were part of the first 2 Wembley Stadiums. And it would be kind of cool for them to reunite next year when Wembley Stadium happens. So, no, Boza, I know, but both Caster and Bowens are my clients, and I'm not going to forgive them for that. That just made me a little bit ticked a bit. But I mean, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I just didn't appreciate him ruining my clients the Acclaim. But also, it's a good thing too because they get to do it their solo paths. And also, when they get back together, they're gonna get strong, refreshed, focused, and probably dangerous than ever in that tag team division. Because gotta let this simmer a bit. And also, I'm thinking long-term storyline, which could be fun. Yeah, I think this version of them, they're going to be really, really fun. And also, it can really bring a lot of credibility to the Trios division. Well, I know they still have issues with the Death Riders, but we shall see on that. But here come your new AEW Trios champions. Shibata, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. As you know, Hook is out with an injury. Fortunately, he did get beat up by the Death Riders. So that's where Powerhouse Hobbs comes in. And I'm so happy that he is he is getting gold. And also nice to work alongside Samoa Joe. Just a friendly reminder, 2 weeks away from tonight, AEW Dynamite Beach Break from Chicago, Illinois. Jon Moxley will be taking on Samoa Joe for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And I can tell you, that is going to lead to a lot of chaos. It's going to lead to a lot of chaos. And I smell a lot of shenanigans. Hi, Amatu-san. Thank you for joining on this watch along for AEW Dynamite with the timeless Elite, your PR princess, and everything you need to know about it. Courtney is with you. In case you didn't notice, the Alps, they're in trios action. Your reigning AEW Trios champions. Ooh, that's a good question, Bobby. Which AEW wrestler would you like to see have a match at Scott D'Amore's company? Oh, that is a really good question because there are so many people that I would love to see. I would like to see my client, Toni Storm, be in Canada. I think she would really bring a lot of presence to that. Also, thinking about like some other women within the roster. Of course, Harley Cameron has wrestled there before. I would love to see Deonna Purrazzo wrestle there, or Thunder Rosa. Utilize their women's division a little bit. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing a lot of people from the tag team division be there, like the Outrunners, Private Party, Daniel Garcia, obviously Caster and Bowens for sure in Maple Leaf to really bringing that kind of on the Canadian front. That would be very cool to watch. And also, I wouldn't mind seeing Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay would be a very fun addition to that. But those are a few I would like to see. Also, another one, Julia Hart. Julia Hart and Brody King is another one I would throw into the mix. But looking at this match, Shibata. He's cool and collective, but he's very dangerous. Tag is made to Powerhouse Hobbs. Yes, of course. We got my clients, the reigning and defending AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm taking on Miyu Shimashita in an eliminator match for the AEW Women's Championship. We already saw her this past weekend taking on Wino Manata this past weekend on Collision, which I will say that was a really good match that they had. And that's why she's a fighting champion. While this fun match is going on, very interesting as performed. Yeah, Boza, I thought we were going to talk about it at least during WWT Live. This is one of the reasons why you should not trust Eric Bischoff, because one thing he says, he wants to get away from the wrestling business, and he does stuff like this. Only because, pause for a minute. Your winners of the match is your reigning Trios champions, the Ops, which they did get a solid win. One warm reception, especially for Samoa Joe. Of course, they're wrestling 2 weeks from tonight. AEW World Heavyweight Championship in Chicago for Freeze Break. Samoa Joe, Jon Moxley. Oh, and here comes Jon Moxley. Oh, yeah, that little run, Wheeler Yuta. That little Powerhouse Hobbs. He got that little run. Get him. And, of course, here comes Claudio and Marina Shafir. Claudio took out Shibata. Came out with the chair. Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe and Moxley. They're just going at it. And he put him in the chokehold. He's putting him in a chokehold. I'm just looking at the look on Moxley's face. And look, he's taking out Shibata the same way he did Hook. He took out Shibata the same way he did Hook. Oh my god. First he took out Hook, and now Shibata. And I can tell this is sending a message to the rest of the locker room who celebrated with the Ops after their win. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, and also depending on who win the Owen Hart Men's Cup tournament, whether it be Fletcher, Hangman, or Ospreay. That's another threat, Jon Moxley. Oh, and Samoa Joe is the mic. Let's see what he has to say. It doesn't even matter if Samoa Joe is heel or face. The fans will cheer for him regardless. They're saying, Joe's gonna kill you. Oh, so the match is a steel cage, which it could be smart, but I do smell shenanigans in that match. Damn, why couldn't this be a Double or Nothing? Unless they wanted to make this match for 2 weeks, and I guess they're trying to save it for Anarchy in the arena. Well, Samoa Joe's making a case for himself on what he wants his title back. He's making a case, and it will be a steel cage match. I'm more concerned about Shibata, so I don't know what they're going to do. That's the same way they did with Hook, and Shibata's being treated by Dr. That's not Dr. Sampson, but one of the other people. Oh, and of course, as I mentioned, my other client, Jamie Hager, will be taking on Mercedes Moné for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Cup Tournament. I know Ced is confidently saying that. Oh, and here comes the CEO having to sit down with Renee Paquette. Well, she does have a point there. She is global. Can't be wrong with that. Yes, it is true. A year ago, last year, she won the TBS title at Double or Nothing. Sooner or later, she's gonna have to take a loss. She's gonna have to take a loss. Well, it's funny because she never faced off against Thunder Rosa. Well, hopefully we get to hear from my other client, Jamie Hager, because you don't want to mess with an angry Brit. And Fernando, I know you and said soon to be 5 belts, but to be fair, I did say, and that is true, but to be fair, and I made this prediction last week, none of my watch along, but I mean at WWT Live, I have a slight feeling that Mercedes Moné may get screwed at Double or Nothing. It's a possibility that she could get screwed because when you think about it, we're all in Texas. I know, and this is nothing against me. I would love to see my client Toni Storm take on Mercedes. I would love to see that match. But there's also another person. There's also another match in the women's division that is about to happen at All In, and that's Athena versus Mercedes Moné. I mean, how would you feel if you had your first loss? How would you feel if you had your first loss, especially when you're 800 plus days as champion? That would really sting. And I don't think Athena is ever going to forget or forgive. That's why I have a feeling she's going to get screwed at Double or Nothing. And this is nothing against me because I actually do want Mercedes to succeed in AEW. I never want her to fail. It's just sometimes I have to be critical and give constructive feedback. And this is just who she is. Nothing against her, but sooner or later, the pressure is going to be adding up and you're going to get a defeat sooner or later. And I'm going to tell you something. If she loses, and I was looking at her Twitter because when she said F them kids when she was Studio Bully Starks, if she does not have a shirt that says F them kids, what are we doing? I just would love for her to be aggressive. But that's just my theory. I just have a slight feeling she's going to get screwed at Double or Nothing. Sometimes I think it's too easy of a route because people think like, oh, Mercedes is going to win, but don't underestimate my other client, Jamie Hager. She's a former AEW Women's Champion. And yeah, she did come back from injury, but yeah, I want Mercedes to succeed in AEW. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a lot of pressure, especially with the fact. And yes, Bozy, you did mention she had 2 losses, but to be fair, she wasn't the one that was pinned. Harley Cameron took the fall for that. Just to be fair, I just want to be very clear on that. But I get what you're saying with the record. Hi, Duck Shoes. Thank you for joining. And I do appreciate female fam streamers. I do appreciate that because we do need a lot of females. I started watching wrestling back in 2002 with WWE in the Ruthless Aggression era. And I haven't turned back since. I started watching AEW in 2022. And up next, this is actually a surprise. We're getting a women's match. And here is the patriarchy, Christian, the new Ring of Honor television champion, Nick Wayne. Ooh, Jay Lethal? that sounds a good match. I really thought that was going to be a collision this weekend. What? And Christian spoke for him. You can tell there's a little bit of attention. Yep. Exactly, Boza. You can tell the cracks are coming on. You can tell the cracks. I really thought that match was going to be on Collision this weekend, because that would be a really good match this weekend. Oh, and shockingly enough, we're going to have a women's match with my client, the AEW Women's Champion, the Fighting Champion. And the one thing about her, at least she could take tough losses well. Because after she did lose at All In last year, she did take a break, but she was still mentioned. I mean, she was PWI's top women in 2024. She traveled all around the world in Mexico, Japan, and she also did Queen of the Ring. So she was still doing her thing. She's still doing her thing. But yeah, Boza, 856. I can't believe it. But she's a fighting champion. She's taking on Miyu Yamashita. And let's see what she does. And I do like they're bringing back the Eliminators again. It's really nice to see that, and it does show that it's a fighting champion. I love that they doing a video of the challenger. I love that. I love that they do a little highlight. That's one of the things that's one of the bright spots I do like about AEW, especially on the Japan Stars. They do show clips of it. That makes me happy to see. That makes me very happy. Yeah, exactly. And going to your point there. Yeah, and I love that they did a package. And also give congratulations to Tony Khan, because he had a successful NFL draft this past weekend. As people know, I'm a football fan. I saw the draft. Of course, I saw Mr. Bossman Tony Khan be the chief football strategy officer for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I didn't see the whole picks that the Jaguars picked. I was focusing on the Dolphins. But hey, I give him credit. He does have commitment. For him to do last week with Dynamite, then the NFL draft, and then coming back here to work. That man is full commitment. Just needs to get his executive ship running, especially taking care of those shitty EVPs. You gotta take care of that first. But here is Miyu Yashima. That's the name. This is really going to be a really good match. And my client's ready. She's ready to go. That's why she's a fighting champion. Respectable handshake between the two ladies. I'm just loving this that we get a women's match early in the night instead of 9:30. Last week, we had a women's match in the main event. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Well, here we go. Here is my client. Oh yeah, Boza, thank you for pointing that out. Miyu did battle Natalya at Bloodsport during WrestleMania. And now she'll be competing in the Crockett Cup for the NWA Women's Championship. This is going to be a really good match. There she goes. Yes, she is, Bobby. She's a fighting champion, and that's why she put up the challenge, because she'll face off against anybody, even when the odds are stacked against her. And she takes defeat very well. She suffered many, many losses. She will take defeat. Ooh, 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 ooh. Watch out for the ring post. Oh, she's stuck. Oh, she kicked her right in the butt. No, that's not an unusual. Luther! 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 I know Luther's trying to help. Oh, she kicks. Oh my goodness me, you kicked Luther! Oh no. Oh, why do you have to kick Luther? Miyu is somebody I would not want to mess with, especially when you have lethal legs. And even though the match is in picture, the match is still going on live. Boza, I got what you said. I understood what you said. That was pretty funny. Oh my god, that's just hilarious. So it is official for the Ring of Honor World Television title: Jay Lethal against Nick Wayne. I'm very curious on what matches they're going to announce for Collision this weekend. I'm very, very curious. As I mentioned, we still have the Hurt Syndicate to meet along with MJF. And our main event is Hangman Adam Page taking on Kyle Fletcher for the Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament. The winner of that match meets Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. Kick out by the Timeless One. Oh, Bobby, thank you. And also, would have not done this without all of you. I know a lot of times on WWT Live, as it should, they do deserve constructive criticism, AEW, but somebody had to take the reins to the keys. When I first joined WWT Live, Boss Lady asked me, was I willing to do watch-alongs for AEW Dynamite? And I said yes. I was more than willing to take the keys and run with it. And I'm very happy a lot of people started watching a lot more AEW because of, well, if you saw my reaction and also able to share my thoughts. And even on WWT Live, I'm able to share my thoughts. I may not agree with what everybody says, but I will still listen. And also really trying to give my own thoughts in it. So thank you to all of you for letting me do these watch-alongs every Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. And I'm not calling it my Timeless Elite Wednesdays. And it's just been very, very fun. But oh, Luther's back up. Luther is back up. Oh, nice, Bobby, Aaron Rourke. Nice. So just a little bit. I know right now it says AEW Dynamite, but also WWE Evolve on Tubi in the US. Just a little fact. So Aaron Rourke competed at Creative Pro Wrestling in New York. It's the same school. MJF, Chris Statlander, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens in the New Jersey area. And that's how I knew of Aaron Rourke along with Bryce Donovan, because they both wrestled there. Bryce was with Max Caster and Bobby Orlando, and that's when they did the Shook Crew. Aaron Rourke, I knew of him because he faced off against Max Caster last summer at an event at Creative Pro. And I love it, like Max or whoever just comes back to where they went to school at and just had matches and also interact with the fans after the show. That's really exciting. And a little fact, Aaron Rourke, Max Caster trained Aaron Rourke when he was at Creative Pro Wrestling. So it is so cool to see. And also, I do have a quick story, but just a quick story. We are back live where my client, the Timeless One, the reigning AEW Women's Champion, take it on Miyu Yamashita, going one-on-one. And this is actually a really good match. And you're probably wondering, yes, we are. Do not be alarmed. This is not a ghost or anything. This is a women's match. This is an actual women's match. This is a women's match. Oh my goodness. Kick out by my client. Hey, my client, she has resilience. Cannot deny her that. Cannot. But anyways, going back to my point regarding Bryce and Aaron, a little fact in there. I actually do have a funny story. So when I was commentating for ISPW Wrestling, which is an independent wrestling promotion in New Jersey, and I'm doing like work with them, like commentary, backstage interviews. I'm doing a lot of stuff with them. I recently did commentary for one of their shows earlier this month, where it was the Golden Ticket Rumble, and they had a few stars from Creative Pro. And I talked to one of the people that Max Caster trained, and I asked him, and this was like a few days after I saw Max Caster in concert, and me and him were talking, and I asked him, "You know Max longer than I have. Is he always this nervous?" And the funny part about it is the person asked him that he is a little weird, but that's a good thing. Being weird is a superpower. And they did say he's very nervous. He does get very nervous and very shy when he interacts. So that was something that really caught my attention, because everybody does have shyness at one point. But Max Caster is very sweet, I will say. And my client's doing work. Hip Attack, Storm Zero. That, my friends, is a fighting champion. Your winner, my client, the Timeless One. She's putting in the work. Exactly! Yeah, exactly. And that's why, well, as I mentioned, why do you think I always defend not just Bowens, but also Caster? And plus, I met Caster twice in person. So I get it up notch. And who was that? Who was that? I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. They were going to meet. It was only a matter of time when they were going to meet in person. And let's see what Little Miss CEO has to say. It was only a matter of time, folks. Well, ooh, here comes Jamie. That's my other client, Jamie Hager. You don't want to mess with her. She's a former AEW Women's Champion, and she's also another one of my clients. You better get your little butt out of there. And not to mention, Jamie Hager and Toni Storm have history with each other because yep, that is true. As Excalibur said, they have a complicated history. And Jamie Hager pinned Toni Storm to be the women's champion. So that's what some people really, I know they want to sell tickets and everything else with branding, but Jamie Hager and Toni Storm have a that's why she's a champ, my client. She's ready for anything. I'm just loving that she dancing to Jamie Hager's music. Yeah, oh yeah, we got that creep Don Callis. Oh god, that little creep. Well, we'll see that later tonight. And speaking of tag teams, because Don Callis mentioned Josh Alexander and Kenosuke Takeshita as a tag team, we have our reigning AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Syndicate. Of course, they're going to address MJF because MJF's supposed to be in the building. Hi, Lewis Johnson. How are you? Thank you for joining on this watch along for Timeless Elite Wednesdays. And I was laughing right before Don Callis. I was laughing because Toni Storm was dancing to Jamie Hager's theme music. That was pretty hilarious. I was like, oh my god, I think she was really getting into it. But yeah, there are a lot of fans that are chanting "We Hurt People." Got the size for the Hurt Syndicate. Hi, Tiana Johnson. And hi, Eddie Foster. How are you? Thank you for joining on this watch along for AEW Dynamite, your Timeless Elite Wednesdays with, with me. And if you're tuning in right now, AEW Dynamite's coming to you from Norfolk, Virginia, and we're going to hear from the Hurt Syndicate. Mm-hmm. Okay. And MJF is scheduled to be here tonight. He is scheduled. So he's coming down to the ring, and we shall see, because they did say they were looking for a fourth member. And he's dressed out in white. Well, not all in white, but you know what I mean. MJF is my scumbag. Let's hear what the Long Island boy has to say. Nice warm reception for MJF. Please don't call him Bob. Please. I knew he was going to call him Bob. I just knew it. I guess that did take out Bobby Lashley. It just be right to the vote. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Okay, so thumbs up from MVP. Thumbs up from Shelton Benjamin. And let's see from Bobby Lashley. Let's see what he has to say. That'd be funny if he gave him a thumbs down. That'd be very funny. Let's see it. That would be really hilarious if he gave him a thumbs down. Man! He really does not want him to join! He really does not want MJF to join. He went over MVP and Shelton. And even Shelton's looking like, what the heck do I have to do? I knew MJF was really gonna go unfiltered. I knew MJF was gonna do it sooner or later. Well, I know the last time he was in one-on-one was against Swerve. He did say hurt. Well, Bobby made his point. He does hurt people. MVP's trying to pull everything. Yeah. And now MVP's not happy. It was just sooner or later MJF was going to lose his cool. Sooner or later. I feel like it's going to be one-on-one with Bobby Lashley and MJF. I know it was supposed to be round 2 with Swerve and Bobby Lashley, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And I would not be surprised if MJF and Bobby Lashley met one-on-one. Yeah, I think that's it. They might have to. And also, so last week, Stokely, that weasel, aligned himself with FTR, which is actually not that bad. It actually makes a lot of sense. And also, FTR works well as heels anyway. I'm gonna say this: if they could get Nigel McGuinness to return back in action, because I heard Stokely named Nigel. Oh my god! But I'm just curious on who Nigel's tag team partner would be. I'm just very curious. It's funny enough that I'm not mad that they have Stokely. Exactly. Like I'm not really mad. Like they have that little weasel there as a mouthpiece. But we have a bonus match. The Ring of Honor television title. Nick Wayne taking on Jay Lethal. Ironically enough, the patriarchy is going to be at ringside, but also this could be very interesting because Jay Lethal will probably have Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, Sanjay at ringside. And also this could help too because at least Karen will be an equalizer to Mama Wayne because you don't want to mess with Karen. She is a tough cookie. Didn't think this would be a title match. I know, but I didn't think it was either. But here we are. But I think this would be interesting because at least Jay Lethal has some equalizers for this. And also, before I forget, because we didn't mention this on WWT Live today, but I just realized that Tony Schiavone, and this was on News Today, Tony Schiavone shared his deep appreciation for calling AEW Collision Live on TBS this Saturday, calling the moment very, very, very special as it marks 40 years since his debut on the network in April 1985. And on his podcast, he described his career coming full circle, reflecting on the history of TBS wrestling from GCW to WCW Saturday Night. Here we are in 2025, and I'm going to do a Saturday night show on TBS again. That's not lost on me. And he did say he was very pumped about it, which I thought was very cool. I thought that was very cool. So, full circle moment for Tony Schiavone. And it's so awesome that I'm going to be in attendance live in person this Saturday on Collision while he's doing his broadcast. That's the sucky part about it. When you go to live events, you can't hear commentary. But the good news is, at least I can hear commentary on Max. That's the perk of having match. But here we go. We have a Ring of Honor television match. Nick Wayne taking on Jay Lethal. I'm surprised he doesn't have Jeff Jarrett or Karen out there. I'm very surprised. But I guess they want him to do stuff on his own. or I could smell like shenanigans in it and they could probably come out. I'm very surprised. You can tell there's a lot of tension within the patriarchy. With Nick Wayne, he's trying to do stuff on his own. It's only a matter of time when it's gonna diffuse. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying too. That is true. I may have some stories. And when I do Timeless Elite Wednesdays, that's a possibility. But I'm very excited to attend a special milestone for Tony Schiavone. Big moment for him. Eddie Foster. Who are you picking to win today's main event? Hangman or the Protostar? This is actually very hard to choose because I really can't think of all the different scenarios. Of course, you're going to have Don Callis at ringside, possibly selling shenanigans with the family. But I would not be shocked if Hangman won. And it would be Hangman versus Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. No, I'm doing good, Boza. It was an interesting and fun episode today. I'm doing okay. I just kind of needed a breather after that. I just needed a breather after that. But you don't know what you expect when you go in live. But I just kind of, just sat in there, did what I can. Of course, I gave the preview for AEW Dynamite. So I did do that, but it was an interesting, fun episode of WWT Live. But it's like that. It's always like that every week. But it's always all good. It's always all good to spend it with the team and everything else, and just really kind of getting the flow going. But we can trade it into the world. I know, me too. It's like I just laughed because I was like, I don't even know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. So, and it's already on commercial. So I guess they are on commercial right now. Was on picture, but now it's on commercial. What? Well, you know what? Since AEW, and it's only 9:30. It's only 9:30, and we still have one more match to go. So, since there is a commercial, I might as well shoot a little bit of a promo of one of our sponsors, All Caribbean Wrestling, and want to thank them for their support on WWT Live.
This episode of Women's Wrestling Talk has been brought to you by All Caribbean Wrestling. Catch the wave! Go to allcaribbeanwrestling.com to check out all the latest pay-per-views or go on the YouTube page at All Caribbean Wrestling. Also, go and check out their socials on Instagram at All Caribbean Wrestling and on X at All Caribbean WR1.
Definitely want to thank All Caribbean Wrestling for all the support that they've done with WWT Live. So definitely want to give a shout out to them. We're still on commercial right now because if you're joining me right now, this is your Timeless Elite, your PR princess, Stone Cold Courtney, whatever you want to call me, with you on this watch along for AEW Dynamite, coming to you from Norfolk, Virginia. We have a bonus match. We have Nick Wayne, the new and reigning Ring of Honor television champion, taking on Jay Lethal, who is no stranger to that belt. Hi, Denise. Thank you for joining on this watch along for AEW Dynamite. And I actually did see your content over this past week, especially about Lyra Valkyria, because you and I need to talk, girl. Like, we need to talk. But so happy that you're joining our watch along tonight. If you're joining with me, especially right now, we have Nick Wayne taking on Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor Television Championship, and we have one more match for the Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament semifinal. Kyle Fletcher, Hangman Adam Page, winner of that match, faces off against Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. And here we go. We are back live with the Ring of Honor World Television Championship match. And this is a big, big test for Nick Wayne because Jay Lethal is no slouch. The first time I actually watched him was TNA back in the Impact Zone. I know you have not heard the Impact Zone in years. That's the first time I've heard of him. And when him, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Amazing Red, along with many others, helped shape the X Division on what it was. And also he has played a lot of contribution to Ring of Honor. So he made a lot of a good impact as well. So I'm very, very happy for that. And Jay Lethal, he's fired up. I'm just surprised no members of Planet Terror were at ringside. But I understand that Jay wants to do it on his own. It just would have been nice to see. It just would have been nice to see the rest of Planet Terror at ringside, aligning with the patriarchy. But this is a tough order. This is a very tough challenge for Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne on the top rope. Jay Lethal, what's he gonna do here? Elbow drop. Kick out. Jay Lethal's feeling it. What's he gonna do? Package. Looks like it was a miscue. Looks like it was a miscue by Jay Lethal. Oof. Nick Wayne doing the heel tactic. Oof. Oh my god, I did not think that match would end, but that is a signature win. Your winner and still Ring of Honor Television Champion Nick Wayne. Interesting. And also feel free to put in the chat on who you think should win. And obviously Christian took that belt away, thinking that it's his. Nick looks a little confused. he looks a little confused. And it looks like there's a lot of tension with the belt. It looks like Christian just pretty much thinking the belt is his. And Jay Lethal looks a little heartbroken. I can tell you Nick Wayne seems a little bit irritated. But giving him the belt. Yeah, Boza, I agree. It's just a question on who's going to be the one to beat Nick Wayne for the belt. That is a question. And also, Commander had Banner didn't even get a rematch. Boza, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time that it's just gonna simmer a bit. Just have to be patient and making sure it's executed properly. Yep, so they are doing it 2 weeks away. Steel cage match at Breach Break in Chicago, Illinois. Jon Moxley, Samoa Joe for the title. There's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of shenanigans, and I think this is also going to piece together who's going to be part of Anarchy in the Arena. Because it's Double or Nothing. That's one of the signature matches they have is Anarchy in the Arena. Yep, Fernando, we were just talking about that. It's only a matter of time on when that's going to happen soon. Yeah, it's a possibility. Just, I think by then, I know, ironically enough, it's only 3 weeks and we still don't know other matches. I think, because I'm trying to think of like other matches. And also you have to think about too, there are some people that are hurt. Like Darby Allin, of course, he's in Mount Everest. Jay White is hurt. My other client, Orange Cassidy, he's hurt. He has a torn pectoral muscle. So that really sucks. They're also going through the card for Double or Nothing. Jamie Hager taking on the TBS champion Mercedes Moné in the women's tournament final. I know people think Mercedes is going to win, but I have a feeling she's going to get screwed. I just have that slight feeling she is going to get screwed. And then on the men's side, who's going to be facing Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing? And also, I'm very curious on what other matches they're going to put on for Double or Nothing. Because there's a few elements in matches that could fall at all in Texas. I'm just very curious. I mean, of course, we're going to have Anarchy in the Arena. It's just a matter of time on who we're going to get. Like, it's only a matter of time on what participants are going to be involved. And then, of course, Swerve, he's going to have to deal with the Young Bucks. So it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Maybe we could see Swerve and Kenny Omega team up taking on the Young Bucks. Or they could be included within the Anarchy. I don't know. But I do believe, like, Swerve and Kenny Omega are going to have to team up against the Young Bucks. Throw in Okada in that mix. I don't know who's going to be their other partner, but we shall see. And also, I'm pretty sure the Hurt Syndicate will probably defend the AEW tag team titles. Against who? I don't know. Don't know what other tag team is out there. And also with the fact FTR just turned heel, I still need time for them to really simmer and cook a bit. Because also they still have a situation to deal with Adam Copeland. It's only a matter of time. But also it is main event time. We see Kyle Fletcher, the Protostar, coming out, and I'm sure we probably have that creep Don Callis there. But he's going one-on-one against an AEW original that's been at the beginning, Hangman Adam Page. And he says he wants his championship shot. And also, I just realized, too, and Boza, I think you can fact-check me. You can fact-check me on this. But if Hangman Adam Page wins, I think this is the first time he's going to go one-on-one with Will Ospreay. But correct me if I'm wrong. Because I could have sworn they faced off against before. But look, Hangman and Kyle Fletcher, they got some bad blood with each other. And I like it. They both want to face off against Will Ospreay. And who knows, we may see an appearance from Mr. Will Ospreay. It's a possibility we may see an appearance from him. I think your client, Tony Monroe, could issue an open challenge. That is true. It's a possibility. There may be some Ring of Honor presence. That's why I was saying, like, I have a feeling Mercedes is gonna get screwed by Athena. The beauty part about this watch along, at least I have my headphones in and I don't have to listen to Don Callis doing commentary. I just want to listen to the match. But it's a possibility, Toni Storm. And also, it would be good for her to do an open challenge. I don't see why not. And plus, it does give an opportunity for some women that are not familiar, especially with that partnership in New Japan, CMLL, Stardom, especially women that you never even heard of. It'll give opportunity to showcase who they are, the importance of it, and also especially introducing people from a Japanese wrestling setting. I think that's something that could play along with. And then after Double or Nothing, she could focus on whoever's going to face her. I believe so. That's why I want Hangman to win. I know, that's what I'm thinking too. Because I don't think Hangman and Will Ospreay never faced off against each other. I know, exactly. Well, depending on this, because I think between either tomorrow or Friday, we'll probably get some matches in for Collision, because at this point, I don't even know what matches are at Collision, because usually they announce it. But we shall see. Kyle Fletcher putting a headlock into Hangman Adam Page. This is main event time. I will say this has been a solid episode of Dynamite so far. This has been a solid episode of Dynamite. Shockingly enough, we had a women's match earlier. We got to see a lot more appearance from airtime from some of the other ladies. Well, I mean, my client, of course, because she's a Winning Women's Champion, and Mercedes. But I got to see my other client, Jamie Hager, get some more airtime. And I'm not complaining about it. Gave a spanking to Kyle Fletcher. Ooh, nice move by Hangman. Hangman wants to end it. He really wants to end this thing. Kyle Fletcher knew exactly what he was going to do. Oh, we see Lance Archer at ringside. Obviously, oh, man, what a clothesline by Hangman. He really drilled Kyle Fletcher. And look at Lance Archer. I think Hangman doesn't really care. He just wants to beat the crap out of him. But even though it's in picture-in-picture, the match is still going on live. And Hangman, he stared at Lance Archer. He really. If I was Lance Archer, I would back away. And also a friendly reminder, if I didn't say this earlier, programming change. AEW Collision will be on TBS this weekend, not on TNT. It will be on TBS at 8 p.m. So make sure to put a reminder for yourself on your calendar, on your car, because if you're on TNT and you're thinking, why is Collision not on? Now you know. So just a friendly reminder. But I will say, it has been a solid episode of AEW Dynamite tonight. We got to see a bonus match. Got to see a little bit more of the ladies in presence. Started off hot with that 8-man All-Star Tag Team match. Started off hot. And now we're ending it with the Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament. As it should be. I'm pretty sure possibly we'll get an appearance from Will Ospreay after the match, so he finds out who's his opponent. Al Fletcher putting on a beating towards Hangman. And we are back live. We are back live in picture. Main event. The Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament. Kyle Fletcher, Hangman Adam Page. Oh my goodness! Kyle Fletcher, his back is bloodied. Oof, that really is going to hurt tomorrow. Oof. I'm going to tell you something. For anybody who says wrestling is fake, explain to me that. Because that looks real. Bloodied cut on his back. I'm just saying. Show them that. That's all I have to say. Ooh, nice clothesline. Oh, they did announce matches for Collision this weekend. So it's going to be Brody King taking on Josh Alexander. Yay! I get to see Brody live. Yeah, it's the only match that they announced for Collision this weekend. Another clothesline by Hangman. He just wants to end this match right here. He's already destroying Kyle Fletcher. He's already destroying it. Oof, that was a nasty one. Kick out by Kyle Fletcher. Yeah, so far that's the only match they announced for Collision this weekend. Josh Alexander taking on Brody King. I'm pretty sure between now and Friday, we'll probably get some announcements of matches on Collision on their social channels. Because that would be sweet if that would be kind of sweet if I'm just saying, if two of my, actually any one of my clients be on Collision this weekend, whether it be the women's champion or Jamie Hager. Oh my God, Kyle Fletcher, his back is so bloody. And you can see some of the spots in the ring with all that blood. Thank God this is the last match of the night. And they don't have to do a double taping of Collision tonight. Thank God it's Saturday. Ooh. Yeah, Boza, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Ooh. Hangman got up very quickly. Kyle Fletcher. I have to give Kyle Fletcher credit. Wrestling with a bloody back. And this is the second time I've seen somebody that had actually not with a bloody back. I seen Moxley with a bloody ear. And then that spike he had on his back. And now Kyle Fletcher having bloodied on his back. Yeah, for anybody that says the F word regarding wrestling, just show them this. Because I like to see them do some of the moves that they do along with getting the serious injuries. I will say, because I know with WWE it does get a little shaky, but I will say people in the front row in AEW are actually enjoying this. I just can't stand it when people have their phones up like this. Like, for me, when I go to wrestling shows, like, I don't have my phone out to take photos of the entrances and that. But when they have their match, that's it. I just want to enjoy the match and anything else. I just can't stand that. Like, if you're a professional photographer and you have to take photos, I get it. But I just can't stand it when people have their phones and look at it. Because, God forbid, if your phone gets destroyed, woo! Kyle Fletcher took a nasty hit. Oof. Oh my God, look at Hangman. Deadeye outside the ring. Wow. I know this ain't WWE Raw, but Deadline just revealed that Liv Morgan will be a part of the cast of Phantom Tim in Tokyo. Woo! Thank you for the news, Boza. Congratulations to Liv Morgan on that opportunity. I know she talked about that on Monday, being in a movie, which I'm very, very happy for her that she is getting that opportunity. So kudos to her. And also, she's a Jersey girl, so I love it when people from New Jersey come in. But it looks like this is going to be our final picture-in-picture for the night, even though the match is still going on live. Oh my goodness. Even that creep is not happy with what's transpired, because mostly it's been Hangman that's been taking over. Hi, Kid 2. Drax, thank you for joining, and you're not late because you're just in time for the main event. Kyle Fletcher, Hangman Adam Page for in the Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament. Winner of that match meets Will Ospreay. Yeah, that is true, Boza. Then you have to think about, like, who is credible, and it's ironically they just won the titles after WrestleMania, which was crazy, and also thinking of who's going to be a credible challenger for them. So that's another thing to consider. And also, Boza, to your comment, yeah, that creep, Kyle Fletcher, he has his back bloody. He's getting his butt kicked by Hangman, which, hey, Hangman's no slouch. He's no slouch. There's a reason why he's a former AEW World heavyweight champion. He's a former AEW tag team champion. He wrestled in the Texas Death Match against Swerve Strickland, Christopher Daniels. He wrestled in an unsanctioned match against Swerve Strickland at All Out last year. And I think you guys remember my reaction during that match. I was just like, speechless. I was speechless. Hangman holding onto his neck. Yeah, Bo, so that's going to be really interesting, and possibly we're going to probably talk about that on Friday, which that's going to be very interesting. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about that. He's probably going to have a lot to say about Mercedes Moné. I usually sit back and just let it simmer a bit, but there are times where I kind of have to step in and be like, yeah, you need to really reiterate that. So I'm pretty sure he's probably going to have a line or two regarding Mercedes. I'll just be prepared. And we are back live. And it looks like it's our final. That was it, our final picture-in-picture, because it is main event time for the Owen Hart Men's Cup Tournament. Hangman Adam Page taking on Kyle Fletcher. The winner of this match meets Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. And I'm sure we'll probably get an appearance from Will Ospreay before tonight's over. But I will say this has been a solid match between these two. Ooh, nice move by Kyle Fletcher. Nice powerbomb by Hangman. I will say, I'll make a note of it. Since they started moving into smaller venues, I love that the crowd energy is so high. And it's just nice that it's very smaller because now you get to see a lot more people in the audience. Ooh, Deadeye. That has to be it. Ooh. I really thought that was it. He kicked out of one of Hangman's finishers. Thank you, Bowser, for that. Oh! She's going to be in Atlantic City this weekend. Oh, I just love it. That's why she's a fighting champion. Yay! Also, we're going to see Brody King taking on Josh Alexander. Always love seeing Brody. Oh, I get to see her this weekend. Live in person. Yay! That's the second time I get to see that. Kick out by Hangman Adam Page. Second time I get to see my client live in person. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will see, and also WWT Live Social, you will see that I gave a question to Toni Storm during the media scrum at AEW Dynasty, which was so fun to do. Obviously, I had to interview her. I had to ask her because it's women's wrestling talk. We have to keep all the ladies. So it was very fun, and she did enjoy my question. I try to make it more logical because during media scrums, I've noticed a lot of people give too many ridiculous questions. And that makes me upset as a publicist, as somebody that's worked in the communications, that's worked in media. That just makes me a little bit frustrating. Even when Anthony Bowens got answered that had questions. Like, he had some of the most ridiculous questions, and it's like, you didn't even ask him about a baseball question because he plays baseball. And same thing with Tony Khan. I mean, I understand you're working on viewership. Oh, Deadeye outside the ring by Hangman Adam Page. Sorry about that, because that was crazy. But going back to my point, especially with Cody Khan, because sometimes you ask him the most repetitive questions, it's like you don't even ask him a football question. Oh my goodness. Moonsault by Hangman Adam Page. He really wants to win this. But anyways, going back, it's like, I've never seen anybody ask Tony Khan any football questions. And it's like, you could have even asked him so many questions. Ooh, a low blow with Kyle Fletcher. I thought this was over, but Hangman's still hanging on. This is actually a really good match. Really good main event. Will you get back there and sit in your corner? Ugh. Don Callis always wants to stick his nose where it doesn't belong. Go back and sit. That is true. That is true. But he needs to get back over there and sit in his corner. It would be cool and funny if you got to do a full interview. I hope so. That would be pretty cool if I did it for Toni Storm. And even if she isn't the reigning AEW Women's Champion, that would be kind of cool. Her, Jamie Hager, and also Caster and Bowens together. Because even though they're kind of on the opposite ends doing solos, they still love each other. Because Anthony said it last week when I watched his interview with Renee. He still loves him as a brother. It's just he's that sibling that he doesn't want nothing to do with anymore. But that is still his brother that he still loves. So he doesn't hate him. It's just, that's how it is. Because they love each other deep down. Ooh. Hangman wants to end. Look at the face of Hangman. He wants to end this match. He really wants to end it. Yeah, you're one of this match. Hangman Adam Page. He is going to meet, which I believe this is the first time, against Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing in Arizona. Feel free to put. This is going to be very interesting. I know, Boza. It's kind of crazy. Well, of course, I'm going to pick my client, Jimmy Hager. Because as I said this many times, I feel like Mercedes is going to get screwed at Double or Nothing in Arizona. I just have the feeling. And this is going to be very tough on the men's side because there's a lot of angles I could go with. And I know they're trying to build Hangman as a person to lead AEW against the Death Riders. And then you have a guy like Will Ospreay who wants to be the guy in AEW. So there's a lot of different avenues that they go with, especially with the fact that Darby Allin isn't back from Mount Everest yet. At least they have some avenues and option they could go with. Of course, you have Hangman, you have Will Ospreay. I would say Swerve, but he has to deal with the Young Bucks. But also he's dealing with Jon Moxley. So there's a lot of avenues and angles they can work with. So far, they've only announced 2 matches for Collision this weekend. But I think between now and Friday, we'll probably get more matches coming in. And that concludes AEW Dynamite. I was thinking about doing a post show, but you guys probably know all the matches that happened. But I'm just going to do a quick post show. And then we'll wrap it up here for tonight. But as you know, AEW Dynamite came to you from Norfolk, Virginia. Kicked off with a crazy and exciting 8-man all-star tag team match. Mark Briscoe, Kenny Omega, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight taking on the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, and Ricochet. That match was off the charts. One of the best matches. But of course, your winners came out are the Young Bucks, Okada, and Ricochet. Because sooner or later, we already know what's going to happen at All In. They're starting to build up between Kenny and Okada. But we shall see on that. Of course, we got to see my client, the timeless one, Toni Storm, the AEW Women's Champion, take on Mia. I forgot her last name. This is how my brain works. But let me see. Miyu Yamashita is a challenger. Miyu Yamashita. It was a very match 1-on-1. Of course, we got an appearance from the CEO, Mercedes Moné, where earlier she sat down with Renee Paquette, and she's not taking Jamie Hager very seriously. The minute she was talking, and that was and this is the second time we got to see my client and Mercedes meet. But it's a shame that it's a shame Tony did get a promo in, but Jamie Hager came out and she wasn't taking no BS. That's one of the reasons I picked her as a client. She doesn't take no BS from anybody. And she's from the UK. They don't mess with women from the UK. But Mercedes ran scared. And the funny bit, I was laughing when Toni Storm was actually dancing to Jamie Hager's entrance music. It was just pure fun. We also got to see the Ops in action. Of course, after they got their victory, we saw Shibata get destroyed by the Death Riders. So unfortunately, that's going to lead to something 2 weeks from tonight with Samoa Joe, Jon Moxley for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in a steel cage match. We also had a bonus match, and we got to see the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Nick Wayne taking on Jay Lethal. Of course, you can see there's a lot of tension within the patriarchy, but that is starting to build up sooner than later. So we shall see on that. Winner and still champion is Nick Wayne. We also got to see her from the Hurt Syndicate and MJF, and it looks like MJF is still not be a part of the Hurt Syndicate. And Bobby Lashley made it clear that he has to hurt people. So it looks like it's a possibility that we may see MJF go one-on-one with Bobby Lashley. It is a possibility. It's a possibility. We shall see. It is a possibility. But we'll keep tuning on that in the coming weeks. And then we get to the main event. Hangman Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. Solid match by these two stars. Of course, that creep Don Callis was on commentary. But it was definitely a good showing between the both of them. Kudos to Kyle Fletcher, especially wrestling on a bloody back. Hard to do. But the winner is Hangman Adam Page. And I think this is for the first time ever. He will meet Will Ospreay one-on-one. Which I was very surprised because I thought at least we would get appearance from Will Ospreay. But we should be getting him for appearance either on Collision this week or next week. But congratulations to Hangman Adam Page. He's facing off against Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing. So far we have 2 matches that are related to the Owen Hart Foundation tournament that'll be held at Double or Nothing. So hopefully in the coming days or weeks we can add more to the card. We will see how that goes. It's a possibility they may do a face-off, Boza. I could see Will Ospreay and Hangman do a face-off. And also, as I mentioned with this layer, because there's a lot that can happen, because you have the Death Riders running amok at AEW with that AEW World Heavyweight title. Samoa Joe is claiming his shot. There's so many avenues they could go with, especially leading to All in Texas. But also trying to destroy the Death Riders once and for all. So we shall see how this plays out in the coming weeks leading up to it. As I mentioned, there's many avenues they could go with. I don't know. I give this episode of Dynamite a 9 out of 10. It did what it needed to do. Started off hot, ended hot with the main event. And it did. Started off hot, ended hot. Shockingly enough, the women's match was not on 9:30. It actually started a little bit more early, which I love to see. It's just Tony, you need to start showcasing a lot of your women. Showcase it a lot. That's the one thing for me. You need to showcase a lot more in your women's division. Not just on Collision, because we do get a lot more presence on that, but seeing it on Dynamite. I mean, yes, I'd love seeing my client every week, but I would love to see a lot more airtime with the other women within the division. Definitely with my other client, Jamie Hager, especially with this big match approaching. I would love to see her get a lot more airtime and a lot of some of the other ladies in there, so at least it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to keep saying this. I just need to. It's very hard because there's so many storylines out there they could do. Of course, Queen Amanada is having a feud with Serena D, but that's on Ring of Honor. And I know it's been showcasing a lot on Collision. Also, we do see Willow being in a feud with Marina Shafir. And also, it looks like from after this past week, Megan Bayne destroyed Anna Jay. So I don't know where that's going to lead to, because Megan Bayne is still making a muck alongside Penelope Ford. It's really going to be interesting. I just hope they're not stuck. I know with Tony being the women's champion, but let the girls cook. Let them cook. Even with like not needing the belt, just let them cook. Let them cook. Let them go with it. And they'll be fine. Thanks again for Timeless Elite Wednesdays. Have fun at Collision. I was about. Yeah, I know, me too. I gave it a solid 9 out of 10. But that's just the one thing, is just expanding the women's division. Because on paper they have it. It's just needs to do better planning and execution. And just figuring out what is their vision, strategic planning that they have for this women's division. Because you would think it would be on one person, but one person can't do it all themselves. It takes a village and a tribe. But I know they can do it. I know they can. I know AEW can figure this out within their women's division. And I will be talking about this between now and then and sending this to Tony Khan, because Tony, get your women's division in order, get your executive office in order, and get those shitty EVPs in check. But I'll leave that for next week. But thank you for joining on this Timeless Elite Wednesday watch along with me. It was definitely a solid episode of AEW Dynamite from Norfolk, Virginia. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Thank you all for joining me on this watch along. You already know you can find me on WWT Live periodically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Wednesday, Timeless Elite Wednesdays with me for AEW Dynamite. I'm looking forward to next week. Make sure you follow my socials. You know where to find me on socials. But as I mentioned on WWT Live, we got content coming in for Queen of the Ring. I know for our channels on YouTube, Boss Lady posted interviews that I did with Julia Hart, Jazz, Tiana Perazzo, just waiting on the Team Bestie one, and also did an interview with Westside Gun. Also, feel free to check out on my socials my question that I gave to my client Tony Storm during the media scrum at Dynasty earlier this month. I got a chance to see Max Caster in concert, which is really, really fun in Philadelphia. Also, feel free to check out my content. And as I mentioned, I will be at Collision this Saturday, live in person. Also, program alert, AEW Collision will be on TBS, not TNT. It will be on TBS this weekend at 8 p.m. So make sure to set that reminder on yourself and everything that you're good to go. You know where to find me on socials. But thank you for joining on this watch along for Timeless Elite Wednesday. This is your PR princess, your Timeless Elite. Stone Cold Courtney is signing off with all of you. And thank you for joining Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet. Have a great evening, and I will see you on Friday.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.